morning, Shannon with Pickin Vintage, and we are going to have some fun today. We're going to be using silk. I hope my feet don't get on the camera because I forgot to wear my boots. I ran out the door and grabbed the wrong shoe, so hopefully that will not be on there. So today we are going to talk about the new silk paint by Dixie Belle. This is a great product, and if you use it correctly, it is phenomenal. So we're going to cover some of the basics of using silk. Did you know that you could paint fabric with silk? And it is super easy. That's what we're going to do today. We're actually going to take this whole chair. You can't really see it that well on camera, but this beige fabric is just filthy over years of use. There's stains and different things on it. The lighting is kind of bright, so you can't really see it. And we're just going to paint the whole thing with silk. Let me just show you what it looks like. This is one of the chairs. Used to look like this, and now it looks like this. And this is in the black sands. So it's a dark gray. Look how beautiful that looks. Super easy. It will not come off on your clothes. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So the first thing with the silk paint is your piece. You need to give it a light scuff sanding. So when we talk about scuff sanding, we're not talking about you need to sand down the entire finish off of the piece. What they mean is just give it a light sanding just to make the surface be able to accept the paint. So I'm going to do that here for you. And I'm just using the rad pads. You can get those from your local Dixie Belle retailer, or you can use sandpaper, whatever you have. Like, I'm just giving it a nice, very light scuff sand. Just making sure I get every little part. Turn this around. Remember, you don't have to sand the whole thing. Just give it a light scuff sand. There we go. Chair has been scuff sanded. Now, the next step is to use the white lightning cleaner. What this is going to do is going to remove the sanding residue from scuff sanding. It's also going to get rid of any waxes or grime or grease that may be on your piece. I've mixed some and put it in a bottle already because I use it all the time. If you use a white lightning, just follow the directions on the container it comes in. Normally, well, depending on what kind of furniture you're using or painting, sometimes your rag will be really filthy with mahogany and different stains on it. This one's not too bad. This one just has a little bit of dust, a little bit of food. This is a very important step. Remember, if you want to have a success when you're painting, proper prep is a must. There's nothing more frustrating than doing a project and thinking you've done everything correct and having the paint just scuff off or just be able to be scratched off. So take the extra steps and do the proper prep. All right, so notice I didn't clean my fabric. I'm not worried about the fabric yet. I just scuff sanded the piece. Then I use my white lightning cleaner. Next, just want to use some clean water and a lint-free rag. What I'm doing now is I'm just going to rinse the piece to make sure that there is no white lightning residue, because that can also stop your paint from adhering. So don't forget to rinse just in case. Whoops. Try that again. All right. Now, my piece is properly prepped. I scuff sanded, and then I white lightened, cleaned it, and then I just gave it a light rinse with just some clean water. Now the fun begins. So what we're going to do is I always paint my chairs, and I start with them upside down just because it makes it easier to paint. So I have my silk and black sands. Actually, let me come a little closer. There we go. How's that? And I'm going to be using my oval medium brush. This one I've used lots and lots and lots, but with the scrubby soap, it takes such good care of your brushes, you'll have them for a long time. All right, so this is the black sands. It's a dark gray. And I'm just going to start painting. I'm not worried about my fabric yet. I'm just going to give the legs a coat so I can turn my chair back around. I would say the general rule of thumb for the silk paint is I always tend to give it 2 coats just to increase durability. It goes on super smooth. You don't want to put any water with the silk paint. The silk paint is way different than the chalk mineral paint by Dixie Belle. That has a chalk base. This has an acrylic base. So I'm just going to paint the legs, and then I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. Typically, I do not enjoy working on chairs. They are a lot of work, but because I'm going to be painting the fabric, it's going to make it way easier. When you're painting a chair, if you start with it upside down, it makes life so much easier for you when you're painting chairs. Look how nice and smooth that goes on. That is why it is called silk. All right, now I'm going to turn it over, and we're going to talk about the fabric. Move this back. And if you all have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I can't see them, but I always go back afterwards and answer them. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the fabric. Like, can you see that? What I'm going to do is, first let me touch up where I missed on the legs. With my oval medium, I'm just going to go ahead and paint directly on, not using any water. And I'm going to push in little circles. Because the fabric has a little bit of a pattern, using circle motions will get into the pattern. See what great coverage it has? It's going on super easy. It's covering all of the drink stains or the food drips. But you do want to make sure when you're doing it, when you're painting it, you apply some pressure and push it in. you are new to silk paint and you want some more information on it, I have a download on simple steps on using the silk paint and a little bit about it. If you go to creatingwithshannon.com and scroll to the bottom, there is a download with how to paint with silk. So again, that's creatingwithshannon.com and scroll to the bottom and you can download a file with tips on how to use silk. But look at that coverage. Isn't that beautiful? I'm going to zoom in for you. Actually, probably easier if I pick up the chair rather than trying to move the camera. Look. See that? Beautiful. And that's just one coat. Now, generally, rattan or wicker, whatever you want to call this, is not my favorite thing to paint. But when I do that, I don't stress over trying to cover every single little nook or cranny in the rattan because you will drive yourself crazy trying to get complete coverage. So I will show you what I do. So I'm making a mess. So I'm just gonna goes on so smooth and so nice. Okay, so what I do when I paint rattan, I just start at the top and go back and forth. Then I go up and down. And I generally use whatever paint is on my brush. I don't want to stick it back in because if I do, there'll be too much paint on and it'll cause drips on the other side. See? Let me turn the chair around real quick so you can see the other side. Again, this is the black sands. It's a beautiful color. It's a deep gray. It actually reminds me of the color of an elephant. I don't know if you've ever seen an in-person elephant before, but that's the kind of color it reminds me of. Okay, so I'm going to do the rattan. So back and forth down the whole, and then up and down. Using whatever paint is left on my brush, because I don't want too much paint on there, or it's going to drip through on the other side. Okay, let's get the fabric back here. Oops. It's a little tricky getting under here. I've accidentally touched a few places, so I'm just touching those up. Alright, so let's go back to the front of the chair. I need to get this part right here. Just sticking it in, and because it's the fabric part, I'm going to push it in and do circles because I want to make sure it gets into the fabric. So, here is the first coat paint on the chair. What do you think? So, let me just get a rag. I've made a mess as usual. Everybody that knows me knows that I'm always covered in paint. Whether it's my clothes, my hair, my face. I'm going to let this one dry. Then I'll be giving it a second coat. Not necessarily on the fabric because I've got a great coverage, great first coat of coverage on the fabric, but I will come back and I'll do the chair one more time. keep in mind that the silk paint has a built-in primer, steam blocker, the paint, and then one level of top coat, which is equivalent to one layer of gator hide. So basically, the chair will be done after I put the second coat on. However, see what I did with this chair? I gave it a light distressing, probably a light distressing, simply because dining room chairs, kitchen chairs get used a lot and they'll get nicked. So if you give it a light distressing, that one nick won't stick out. It'll blend with the other distressing. Also, I did it because I don't have complete coverage on the rattan. You can still see some of the yellow coming through, so it just blends. And then, of course, the fabric. Now, it doesn't feel soft like the fabric. What it feels like is outdoor fabric or pleather. So it's soft, nice touch, but it'll last. Now, one thing that I need to show you, after you get done painting it in the chair, it will be crunchy and crispy. So what you need to do is just take a piece of sandpaper and sand the fabric. Make it, you will notice an immediate difference. Start sanding, put your sanding block down, and then feel your chair. You'll see where you sanded and where you haven't, or you'll feel it. So it's humongous. And then what I did was I just sealed it, just the fabric, with easy peasy spray wax, just because. And no, it's not going to come off on you, and it'll help protect it. And then you have a brand new dining set. Why go out and spend more money on furniture if you have a great quality furniture? Just simply paint it. You can change the fabric, obviously, but you don't have to. It's just, because there was the rattan, it had some of the light coming through with the distress, the gray seas kind of blend with the table. So, and that's what I'm working on too in the back, but the table is going to be beautiful. So stay tuned for pictures on my Facebook page. If you have any questions about the silk, please reach out. You can go to creatingwithshannon.com, scroll down, and there's a download on silk tips. And I want to thank you all for joining me today. And any questions in the silk, drop them in the comments, and I will answer them for you. All right, you guys have a fabulous day.